Christmas, the birthday of Jesus Christ, is traditionally celebrated on December the 25th. But why? With a little biblical study, most people come to realize that Jesus was most likely born in the spring, when shepherds would be in their fields tending to their flocks, seeing to the birth of baby lambs. They would not be in their fields in December. The weather is simply too harsh. I recall reading the findings of an astronomer who pinpointed a convergence of multiple stars and planets to April of the year 6. This convergence would have created a star-like glow that might have been the Star of Bethlehem, and occurred exactly once and will never occur again. April also meets most of the conditions in biblical accounts. And there are a lot of theories about when Jesus was born, but nobody really knows because his parents, Mary and Joseph, failed to record the date in his baby book. So again, why do we celebrate Christmas on December the 25th? A popular theory is the co-celebration of Saturnalia. Early Christians needed a date when they could celebrate and not get caught. Saturnalia, honoring the Roman god Saturn, was a very popular festival and hid Jesus' birthday party very nicely. Another possibility is an old Jewish tradition that recognizes that birthdays were not always recorded. This tradition dictates that conception shall have occurred on the date of death. Thus, the recognized date of birth would be 9 months later. This calculation was applied to Jesus about the year 200, when they believed his crucifixion happened on March the 25th, placing Jesus' birth at December the 25th. Simple math based on an accepted tradition. What makes this calculation even more interesting is that the Eastern Orthodox Church kept its calendar a little differently and placed Jesus' crucifixion on April the 6th. There have been a lot of adjustments to the calendar since Jesus' time. But 9 months from April the 6th is January 6th, the date we celebrate Epiphany, the date the wise men came to Jesus. January 6th is also the 12th day of Christmas and is known as Old Christmas. So, was December the 25th selected by an old tradition or by an attempt to hide a celebration? Or was there something else? Consider for a moment the meaning of Christmas, love, and hope. To explore this, we go to the home of Axel, a 7-year-old boy living in the southern reaches of Scandinavia. Axel's father was a tenant farmer and a woodcutter. He made a modest living until the farm he worked was sold and the new owner did not want tenants. They and 5 other families were run off land that they had farmed for generations. Bitter at being booted from his home, Ivan looked for a way to get his own farm. At this time, there was little land available in southern Scandinavia, but land was abundant to the north. Lars, Ivan's only living relative and uncle, had been telling Ivan about land that was available where he lived in the northern reaches of Scandinavia. If Ivan could farm this land for just a few years, it would become his. 4 of the other 5 evicted families followed Ivan to the north, but northern Scandinavia was a desolate place, hostile in the winter time. Lars helped the families get settled in his small community where they all began farming, this time on land that might soon be theirs. But they had to learn to raise new crops. In the south, they had a great variety of delicious foods, but in the north, it was primarily barley and turnips. Axel's mother was known in their old village for her delicious breads. Needing additional income, she again began selling her baked goods at the weekly market. Ivan added funds by cutting wood for neighbors and giving Axel, his 2 younger sisters, and younger brother a healthy and secure life. They were loved, well-fed, and slept in warm beds. Their new home, however, posed a problem for Axel's mother. That is, getting Axel to go to bed in the summertime. "The sun is high in the sky! How can I go to sleep?" "You will sleep as you did when you were younger, the same as your brother and sisters. Now close your eyes and dream of running in the fields." "But I can run in the field right now! It is daylight!" Axel's new home enjoyed sunlight all day and all night in the summer. But as the winter approached, the days got shorter and shorter until, well, this got to be a very dangerous time of year. With so little sunshine, it was always cold and almost always dark. As daylight became nothing but a blink of light on the distant horizon, animals became uneasy. Where had their daylight gone? Why was it always dark? One day, when Ivan was venturing out to cut wood, his wife cautioned him, "Be mindful of the weather. It does not look good." Indeed, not only was this day a dark day, but a great storm threatened their village. Feeling the storm approach, Lars, who was a big man, went to each of the new families, telling everyone to come to the community building in the center of the village. Filled with fear from the constant darkness, and now a storm, everyone gathered, but the big man was not there. "He has been swallowed up by the darkness," an old woman cried out. Quickly, other people began adding to her tale. "He was going to the Jorgensen's farm, and they are not here. They have been swallowed, and we will never see them again." Then an old man moaned as he put his watch back into his vest and said, "As dark as it is outside now when the sun should be high overhead, we may never see daylight again." Children began to cry, mothers began to moan, and men began to sweat with fear. Then the door of the building blew open, and the Jorgensens and Lars came in. Seeing that there was not enough wood to feed the meager fire, Lars told the men to go get more wood. He then also stepped out into the darkness, which was now filled with swirling snow. But he returned a short time later with a great log, a huge log, and he put the log on the fire, and it began to burn immediately. Hearing the moans of the mothers and children, Lars stood before all of them and said, "By the time this log burns to embers, the sun will return." Just then, Axel's father came into the great hall. He carried a great big green tree and told everyone, "I have heard your fears for weeks about the world being lost in darkness. This tree is green because there is much wonderful life in our forests. It is there today and will be tomorrow. Why don't you children tie ribbons around this tree?" Now, feeling the warmth of a proper fire and seeing the beauty of the tree, everyone felt much stronger. As a community, they would overcome this darkness that had swallowed their homes and their fields and their forests. This all happened on the darkest day of the year. It was midwinter, December the 25th, on the calendar of their day. Midwinter has always been a time when people came together for strength and courage and to restore their faith. It is a scary time and a time filled with long dark nights and short days when few of us get enough nourishing sunlight. The day of the longest night when nature brings us together to strengthen one another. Is it any coincidence that this is the time we celebrate the birth of Jesus? While we share our blessings and our strength on December the 25th, is there any day of the year when we should not be sharing our lives with others, especially those in need? Remember to share God's Christmas love every day of the year, and there will be no dark days.